And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Dr. Mike.
Hi, friends. Thank you for joining me today. It is good to be with you again. I've got a very special guest today for you, and he's a good friend of mine, has become a good friend of mine over this last year plus. We've exchanged a lot of thoughts, a lot of emails, a lot of strategies, conversations about how we can move forward, especially 2020. This is going to be a pivotal year. I've heard many people say that recently, and I would agree with them. This is going to be a very pivotal year in the life of, well, all Americans, whether they understand it or not. I want to start by asking you a question. If you had an alternative to the debauchery, the wickedness, the evil that is day upon day foisted upon our children, would you take advantage of that option? In one medium, in one avenue, we have that option. But what I found out, friends, is that most people don't know that Darren Arnett, the artist, the illustrator, the cartoonist, even exists. And I found that, well, quite frankly, unacceptable. So I invited my friend Darren on to the show tonight to discuss what he does, his work, and to make you aware of this. And I think parents, grandparents, homeschoolers, anyone that's out there that's paying attention, if you've got a pulse, then you no doubt have seen over this last, well, decade or more that American public civic morality has just gone down the trash can. It's in the sewer. And what's being foisted upon our children now is outright, well, it's demonic. It is absolutely demonic. And I want to start with this article, Jared, Owl House on Disney. This was posted recently. I found it on Skywatch TV. Um, so first, there was this new book for children teaching them how to summon demons. Now Disney will be releasing a new cartoon to teach kids how to become demon-possessed witches to join spirits of darkness by passing through mystical. I can hardly believe it reading those words. And I don't know that any one of you that have joined us for this particular show has watched this, but I think this is outrageous. On Disney, folks. Now I know Disney is wicked, has been wicked for a long, long time. But do you understand the appeal and the branding that the Disney name carries for a good many Americans? And so they allow it right into their homes. Darren, thank you for joining me today
Yes.
on the show.
Hello.
I appreciate you joining me today, Darren.
Thanks. I appreciate being here.
But did I hear you say, Darren, that you actually viewed the first episode of this Owl
I
House?
did. It was connected to the link you gave me, so I went ahead and watched it. And
Yep.
wow, uh, it's
Your thoughts?
I don't know if you remember Beetlejuice or not, but it was kind of they just took Beetlejuice into the cartoon realm and put it on steroids. It was
Wow.
weird. Uh,
Wow. So,
but
so
what it
go
seems
ahead.
like they're doing, it seems like they're really trying to say that we want all of the outcasts, the kids that feel like they're on the outside of everything, and we want to give you a way to not only be part of something but have power.
Wow. But you know what, Darren? Just hearing you say that, that's a demonic strategy, isn't it? Taking advantage. First of all, the first group to target is at-risk children. They're already at risk for a number of other reasons. So we're going to target them first and make them feel like they're part of a group. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And you know what? I mean, Satan, he has a very basic game plan, and Marxism is one of his best tools. And that's what he's doing. He's separating kids from parents. He's separating kids from other kids. He's trying to isolate them and give them a place to belong.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunately um, quite a successful strategy. Now, Darren, our conversations over these last couple of years have been really focused on getting good, solid biblical material into the hands of children. Um, and we want to, first of all, we want to target Christian parents. I know that's your heart, and I think homeschooling parents really need to be made aware of what you're doing. I'm just going to hold this up now, and I think this one is on. No, it's this one. I think this one was on Amazon. I saw Darren, thou shalt not steal. And so
Yeah,
what Darren does
that's one of
through
my
these
good.
well, I'll let you explain it, Darren. Go ahead.
And honestly, I can't see anything but myself, which was a sad statement right now. But so I'll take your word for what you're holding up there. Yeah, thou shalt not steal. That was one of my first cartoon efforts, and then I decided to go ahead and maybe hit a little storyline on the Ten Commandments, but it didn't go very far. Um, that was just my main character, Zach. Um, just it was a peer pressure book, and where that can take you. So he
Yep.
ends up stealing something. Then the storyline is what happens after that.
Well, I just happen to have, um, Darren, one of your Ten Commandments books. This one is No Other Gods.
That was my favorite one, actually.
Yeah, this one,
All I did,
folks. Go ahead, Darren.
all I did was go through a few of the major religions out there, and all I did was explain their version of Jesus, and that if you have the wrong Jesus, you have the wrong God, and you're headed for hell if you have the wrong God.
Yes, and in fact, right off of the bat, this caught my attention. So, folks, I hope that you can see this. This is the inside cover right off the bat. No other gods. Here's someone in a mask. That's quite clever. That's trying to sell the fact that all roads lead to God, and then there are what are considered to be um, holy books from various belief systems from around the world. And here comes Zach, and of course Gannon is standing um, there as well. So the idea, Darren, is to educate our children at a level that they can understand that there is only one God.
Right.
Amen.
And that is the standpoint I took for generation as well. I think a lot of kids don't understand why some people who say they're Christians are not acting like Christians at all.
Yeah.
And no one ever explains to them that no, they're actually not really Christians. They're just saying they are. And regeneration is the focal point of that. So it was basically a book that explained the concept of regeneration.
Well, and you have a regeneration book. I think it's available on Amazon, is it not?
That's one on Amazon. It's an ebook. Yes.
Yes. And I think, Jared, did I send a link to that for the regeneration? I don't. Maybe I did. Yeah, I did. It's the first link in the email that I sent you is the Amazon link for regeneration. So, folks, thank you. If you could put that up for folks. So first of all, I'm encouraging you to get the material. But secondly, I want to ask you a question. Where else are you going to find good biblical doctrine in a format that kids are going to read? The children are going to read, and then they're going to be educated in core Christian theology and doctrine. The answer to the question is not very many places at all. now you understand why Darren and I have struck up a friendship, and why I think it's important that what he is doing, the awareness of it is raised. And this struck a chord with me this week, Darren, as I was thinking about today's show. Um, I got this little tract recently. Alva McLean is the author. He's the late Alva McLean, by the way. He was the founder, first president of Grace Theological Seminary in Winona Lake, Indiana. Prolific author. But this little booklet, Freemasonry and Christianity, this little booklet right here is aimed at educating Christians on why Freemasonry is demonic. And he goes into great detail to talk about Jesus Christ and he being the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God, that there is no other God besides God, the Trinity. And I thought, well, this is a perfect illustration. McLean is doing this in this little tract for people that are confused about Masonry. Here, Darren is trying to do the same thing on a little lower level for children. But I can tell you something, folks. I've looked at Darren's material, and in fact, let me say this: Darren and I are collaborating on a project, um, and this project that we're collaborating on will be um, my content and his illustrations, my writing, Darren's illustrations. We're hoping to have that out sometime within the next month, and it's going to be on judging. And I'm calling this tract, Who Are You to Judge? What does the Bible really say about judging? So you can stay tuned to that. That's going to be an effort that Darren and I are doing together. Now, we're going to do today's show a little bit different than what we've done in other shows. We're going to invite questions right off the bat, and as they come in, we will answer those questions, or we'll endeavor to answer those questions. Let's put it that way. So again, getting back to our launching point, Darren, it shouldn't be any surprise at all that this wickedness, this evilness, and it's taking the form of witchcraft primarily right now. Demonism is what it is. Um, but we've been seeing this for the last several years. In fact, we can go all the way back to Kavanaugh hearing. Do you remember that, folks? Remember when Kavanaugh was going through his hearing to be a Supreme Court justice, and there were actually witches that came out against Kavanaugh's nomination. We saw the same thing against President Trump, and not once but several times we've seen this, folks. And Darren, you can. I'm going to toss it to you and let you comment on this, but um, I think this is a concerted effort by people that hate Christianity, hate Christ, they're God haters. This is a concerted effort to normalize witchcraft, which really is demonism. You need to understand that, folks. And I wish I would have thought of this. I'd have had my good friend Robert Oram standing by to talk about this. He wrote a book, Pharmakia, what the Bible says about drug usage. That's another one I would recommend that you folks get and read. Extensive research, and Robert demonstrates without any doubt from the biblical texts what witchcraft actually is. It's demonism. So Darren, I think we share the same perspective that this is an organized effort by God haters to steal our children. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's everywhere now. They're obviously all the movies and stuff, which I grew up a big Marvel fan, but they're taking it in directions that I don't necessarily agree with now. Certainly, honestly, I think all these guys that write comic books really read the Book of Enoch a long time ago, and they've pretty much been basing everything on that.
That's a very interesting comment. What do you think that, Darren? Just explain that for those who've joined us today.
It's well, if you've ever listened to any of the stuff that Derek and Sharon Gilbert have done, uh, he goes into great detail on the old gods and who they actually were.
Mm.
And he's given me some of the best examples. When the 400 priests of Baal, when Elijah had the battle with them, he actually traced it back to where Hercules was the god they were worshiping. And then Thor, who is the storm god, actually that was the god that our God had battled as far as chaos in the beginning.
Mm.
I mean, it gets very complicated, and I'm probably not the best guy to explain it, but it definitely bears some research for everyone listening to. If you don't get the books, go ahead and listen to some of the Skywatch programs that explain it. Uh, it it's really stuff you need to know to explain a lot of the things that are going on now and the direction that everything's headed, the comic books, the movies, stuff your kids or your grandkids are going to ask you, that'll give you the answers.
Yeah.
I've had these talks with some of my grandkids. So I've got 8 grandkids, so I have to know all this stuff. And
That's
that's
right. Well,
my, honestly, a lot of these cartoons are for them.
and you know what, Darren, that is a great point. That didn't even occur to me, but you're absolutely right. If you're going to get these for your children, then you better be able to talk to them and, and explain oh, what this is saying, because they're going to have some questions, aren't they?
Ideally, they will.
Yeah.
And you can start a conversation with them now. Actually, these movies are a good tool to start a conversation with the kids. It's common ground.
Yeah.
Do your homework, research it, and you can approach them and say, hey, you like Thor. Guess who he really is? And go from there.
Great point. Great point, Darren. And I'm thinking also, uh, how many parents, how many Christian parents could explain to their child, maybe junior high schooler, um, what regeneration actually is. What does it
It's
mean
it's
to be
it's a toughie.
justified by faith? Yeah, yeah, all of those things. So yeah,
Yep.
that gives me a whole nother line of thinking on this, Darren. So Mark, like I said, we're going to take questions as they come in, folks. We're going to change this up a little bit and not wait until the midway point. So Martha has a question, Darren. What age group are these books suitable for, if there is an age
When I
group?
ori- when I when I originally started, I was thinking about grade school kids, but I've had adults tell me that they enjoyed it and they learned something. So I'd like to think there's not really an age group. I did a teaching a long time ago for a church camp for kids, and the fellow that took the material actually told me that it seemed most popular with the high school age and some of the college kids that were helping counsel. They they really liked the characters and stuff. So I'm hoping everybody. That would be my best guess.
Okay,
I like
so
to what I like to tell people about it is that I kind of try to live at the crossroads of Calvin and Hobbes and the Screw Tape Letters. And I loved Calvin and Hobbes. I know people of all ages love Calvin and Hobbes. I actually totally ripped him off in that everybody sees Ganon the angel as a dog. I love the
yeah,
Hobbes type.
that's all right.
So that's where that is.
Yep. Did that okay, so did that answer your question, Martha? I think that it did. Any other questions in the huddle? Jenny, this is your opportunity to jump in there and ask your questions early.
I've heard some of Jenny's questions. They're toughies, so I'm going to have to be prepared here.
Go ahead, Denny,
Now,
let her
I've
rip.
never met you, Darren. I don't know. Have I?
I've met you on screen several times. I've seen you a lot, sir.
Okay, I'm in trouble. Well, this looks exciting. So how many books do you actually have written so far?
I have the Thou Shalt Not Steal, No Other Gods, Regeneration is out there. I have one on the Trinity that is prepared to go into the pipeline, one on Martyrs that is in the pipeline, and a short one on Heaven, because I had to do a short, quick one on Heaven because I had that question from a granddaughter. So I just did a book.
So my question is to get like one copy of each one that you had so I could review them before I read them to my grandkids. How would I do that?
Right. I am going to have to learn not to be technologically challenged and figure out how to get them out there. I am the last guy on earth that needs to be exposed to a computer, but I have forced myself into this realm. So honestly, I'm looking for someone who can
I'm going to help him.
can lead me.
I'm going to help him,
That
Denny. To answer your question, I'm going to help him
Okay.
because he's been kind enough to send me his ebook versions, and they are fantastic. He's done one on Heaven that you would be interested in, I'm sure, Denny. He's done one on David and Goliath,
Okay.
that whole story, and he's all. And you mentioned, Darren, that you've got one on the Trinity, um,
yes,
which is just fantastic. So I reviewed that today. So yeah, that's one of the things. So what I'm putting out there to people, Denny, and anybody else that's watching, Darren's got a heart for this. He needs people to come alongside him that can help him accomplish this. As he said, um, technology is not his game. So
no, it's
if
not.
folks have a heart for this and they want to help Darren accomplish this and get this out to as many young people, parents, by all means, review it. That I'm sure Darren would have no issue with that whatsoever. Um, if you, by the way, Darren, what's a good email contact for people to reach out to you? They want to perhaps purchase
The best
your books. How can they do that?
the best one for me would be D Arnett, DARNETT 97 at gmail.com.
Okay, so that's
I'm working on
D.
getting for D Delta, yes.
Mhm.
ARNETT 97 at gmail.com.
Okay, drnet97@gmail.com. So you're saying you're working on something?
I'm working on an email for Zach and Gannon, but I'm kind of having trouble going back and forth between the emails, which screams my challenge with technology. But I do have that email. I'll put that out there when things maybe travel a little further down the line for me.
Okay.
But
Okay.
for right
Now,
now, the Arnett 97 is the best.
yep. Now here's the thing that I love, folks. And again, if there are any questions in the huddle, just jump in there and let me know you've got a question for Darren. One of the things that I appreciate about Darren is that he does not avoid the tough issues. So he takes on Islam, he takes on Marxism, he takes on transhumanism. He's done scripts, panels, if you will, whatever you want to call it. Darren, what do cartoonists call what illustrated what they do? Is it a strip?
It's honestly, when I started, all I wanted was a cartoon strip in the newspaper. I was pursuing that a long time ago, and I was told the best way to do that is to have a fan base, do a kid's book, get a fan base around that kid's book, and then they'll syndicate your cartoon strip. That's where David and Goliath came from. That was all I was doing that for. By the time I had that finished, newspapers were dying. They weren't picking up cartoon strips, they were dropping them. And I was kind of just drawing stuff to be drawing stuff. I didn't know why I was drawing it. I was doodling a lot. My wife told me that if I didn't use that gift, I was going to have to answer to God for it.
Mm.
And so that kind of lit a fire under me. But that fire's been burning for about 15 years now. So I have a lot of stuff, just nowhere to go with it.
Yes. Yeah. So we need to really make an effort to do that. And of course, it's our joint project, Darren. I'm hoping that that'll help along the way. And then again, we don't know who's joined us today on the social platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and some other places, Periscope. There might be someone out there that's looking for an illustrator for an animation project. That I think that would be fantastic. You know, God works in mysterious ways. Amen.
Oh yeah, amen.
Yeah, amen. Denny, do you have any follow-up question
Well,
or
I
anything
do.
else?
I mean, these could be used in Sunday school for kids or people that's
Good point.
homeschooling or is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
why I'd like to
Bible
review all of it.
curriculum.
You what?
It could be a
Okay.
Bible school curriculum as well.
Okay. And that's why I'd like to review them all. And because I know a lot of people that homeschool and all this stuff. And yeah, I'd be interested in getting I'll talk to you later, Mike, and we'll find out
Okay.
how I can get a copy of everything. And
Okay.
I'll send him a check or whatever it takes, and we'll
Okay.
get things going. Okay.
Okay. That sounds good, Denny. Thank you. Any other questions? Martha asks about the Screw Tape Letters. Is it a good book to read? Also, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Yes, that's spiritual warfare 101.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike,
Yes, Kathy.
I've got people on Facebook that are watching that are going out to Amazon and ordering his books right now.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
So
So
I
thank you,
see that
folks.
there are two. The Thou Shalt Not Steal I see out there, and Regeneration. What's that is also on there. Is that the Kindle version?
Yes, we don't have a physical version of that yet. Every time we tried to manufacture a print version through Amazon, it would not let us. So, and Pastor Mike has said he would check into seeing what they knew about that. It was beyond our scope to fix that. So we just stopped with the Kindle version.
So Kathy, what I said to Darren was that we would try and investigate and see if we could get that accomplished for him. But we don't want to do it through our account. We'll have to do it through his account. So it's going to take a little bit of effort, but we're going to see if we can make that happen. It's worth the effort.
Also,
So go ahead, Darren.
I just started an Instagram page to get some of this content out there for free. Since I had always wanted a cartoon strip, it was going to be called Are We There Yet? That started when my 22-year-old granddaughter was 2 years old. And she was in the back seat of the car. We were going on a short trip, and I think she asked, "Are we there yet?" about 30 times. And I turned to my wife and I said, I wonder how often the kids in the tribe of Israel ask, "Are we there yet?" in the wilderness. And that actually turned out as the original Zach and Gannon was going to be him as a child in the tribe of Israel. And it was just going to be a period cartoon strip about their time in the wilderness. But I just couldn't come up with enough content to be consistent. And so I brought it into the future.
Okay.
So
So you
it's
mentioned
now modern times. Yes.
Okay. You mentioned Instagram. So you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
So you're not too
I have
challenged, Darren.
Yeah, once you see it, you agree that it's just going to be the Are We There Yet cartoon strip. I did put the transhumanism strip on there first to give people a taste of kind of a full story.
Okay.
I actually came up with some new bad guys at the end of the transhumanism strip, and I really liked them. So I just stopped there, and I'm going to work them into the storyline I have going on Are We There Yet? I also have a girl who is a witch who's going to move in across the street from Zach, kind of like the little redheaded girl with Charlie Brown. So that's
Okay.
going to add to that plot, and I can deal with more of the Wicca issues that way. But it's just going to be everyday life of Zach and Gannon dealing with spiritual warfare, and as much his flesh that he has to deal with, as much as the spiritual warfare, demons and stuff, because that's a major part of the battle is our flesh.
Amen, brother. Yes, sir. That's right. So on Instagram, what's your handle? Is that what they call it? A handle?
You're asking the wrong guy. Jared may know that. He seems to be really technologically savvy.
Yeah, all you folks that are Instagram pros, what do you go by? What's your name? What's your @? I mean, I know on Twitter it's what I don't even know how to ask the question on Instagram.
I know it's Zach's or Gannon 7, Zach 6 is
okay,
what
so
I
there
chose.
You go.
Gannon,
so GANAN 7 Zach ZACH 6. Gannon 7 Zach 6 on Instagram. So there you go, folks. You people like to spend time on Instagram, go out there, Gannon 7 Zach 6, follow Darren, keep up with his strips, what he's putting out there. It's well worth the time. It looks like we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to go ahead and take a break to hear a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Darren Arnett. He is a cartoonist, illustrator, lots of good Christian doctrine theology in a comic illustration format. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Stay with us.
Healthy living through LifeVantage. Scientific research has validated oxidative stress as the root cause of aging and most disease. Oxidative stress is the result of the production of free radicals at the cellular level that damage our bodies. Protandim reduces free radical damage by 40% in 30 days. It does this by triggering the body's intelligence, activating the NRF2 protein, which in turn produces its own powerful protective antioxidant enzymes. LifeVantage Protandim, NRF1 and NRF2 work together to enable your body to rejuvenate itself on a massive scale, whether by upregulating your genes' ability to produce their own antioxidants, your cells' ability to produce mitochondria, or your digestive system's ability to regulate bacteria. We're helping you stay on top of the aging process while delivering the mental clarity and overall well-being you need every day to get the absolute most of your life. More information is available at www.abcgotit.com/MIKA68. www.abcgotit.com/MIKA68.
Hi friends, Works LLC is a manufacturer of custom-made holsters, mag carriers, knife sheaths, and accessories. Works is your one-stop shop for high-quality inside or outside the waistband concealed carry holster. Works LLC is a Christian and family-owned and operated company that values made in the USA. Visit Works LLC, www.werkz.com, works.com, Works LLC, 855-937-5901, 855-937-5901, Works LLC.
Hi, friends. Thanks for staying with us, and thanks for supporting our sponsors. And also want to thank Jared and Alta Technology for his hard work on this show. It is much appreciated. So, Darren, the projects that are near and dear to your heart right now, what are some of the things that you want to get working on to get out there into people's hands? If you could name the top 2 or 3, what would they be that you want to be able to spend time on getting accomplished and then out there for people?
The number one is and I don't have the ability or the means to do it, but an animated cartoon. I don't think it's really it. I don't know. It's hard to show two realms in just a printed page. To show the spirit world and our world and the interaction between them in print is difficult. An animated cartoon would be the perfect format.
Mhm.
After watching that cartoon, the Owl House, I mean, they jump back and forth between uh, whatever you want to call it, realms, universes, whatever. Multiverses seems to be the term of the day with DC Comics and Marvel and all that. So it is actually probably the best description. Heaven's just another universe, and it's the one we all want to be in now. But that is the best way to show those. So animation is definitely the route. And I have so many characters that I kind of feel like, and now this is leaning on the Book of Enoch, but I think there are so many different entities, evil entities that fall under the heading of demon. It's just like there are so many heavenly entities that fall under the heading of angel. Um, every heavenly entity is not an angel, but that just seems to be what everybody thinks about, if they think about it at all.
Yeah.
So you can, I mean, what I put down there is certainly not canon, but it will give you an idea of how to think about what's going on. And a lot of the things I've done, the different characters I've come up with, just God threw them in my head, and I put them out on paper, and I know that I was on the right track because things that I have discerned in my spirit I've heard Chuck Missler teach, or I've heard I heard one of your guests mention one time that the demons, a lot of the demons are no more mature than a 13-year-old boy. And I certainly have some characters like that. I have some military type characters in the cartoon strip. Then they're foul spirits. They use computers and headsets and all that stuff. And then I have imps that are definitely have the mentality of a 12 or 13-year-old boy. And then there are those that I just call demons. But they all have different jobs and different levels in the hierarchy of hell. And that's just my impression of it. Like I say, it's not canon, but it will give someone something to think about and hold on to and realize, yeah, I think that may be going on in my life.
Yeah. Okay, Kathy, we've got. I'll get right back to you with your question. Jared, would you please show the picture? You put that on the screen. I sent you witchcraft. Witchcraft. I want folks to see. Okay, I want folks to see exactly what we're talking about. So there you go. So this is a recent one. Are we there yet? That Darren did. So a friend of Zach's is reading, and he says, "Wow." It says here that there may now be more Americans who identify as practicing witches, 1.5 million, than there are members of mainline Presbyterianism. Statistics say is 1.4 million. This came out of a Christian Post article that you found at Christian.com. So ChristianPost.com. Thank you, Jared. So my point in bringing that up, folks, is that this is not just comic strips for entertainment. These are illustrations for education, is what these are. Are we there yet? So this one is on toxic masculinity. I really like this one, and that's why I enclosed it. This country has totally turned its back on Christian morality, but they're blaming all the bad behavior of men on toxic masculinity instead of this godless society. Boy, hammer, meat, nail, because that's exactly what that is, folks. It is our Luciferian controlled media and globalist deep state, whatever you want to call it. This toxic masculinity, and I'll say this, and I don't mean it in a racist tone at all, but I'll be accused of it, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I really don't care what people say, because I know where my mind and my heart is at. This kind of nonsense about toxic masculinity is aimed primarily at white males. Make no mistake. Now, they're happy to include Hispanic males, black males, Oriental males. They're happy to include all of them, but it is primarily aimed at white males because that is the group that these globalists, these Luciferian demonic stooges are trying to beat down. Why do you think that is? If they cast the widest possible net, they'll get Christian men to know who their God is, and they're not going to bow the knee to Baal now or tomorrow, and they hope to subjugate us. Well, here's a news flash for the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. If I'm fortunate enough that you're watching or listening, ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. So, Darren, I appreciate you tackling subjects just like that. I think I sent one more, Jared, and I think that was on evolution. So evolution it's such an easy thing to target today because evolutionary theory is such utter nonsense. Even evolutionary, quote unquote, scientists understand that evolution as a theory is a paper suit. There is nothing to it. And so Zach says, my papa says that if there was a big bang, then God pulled the trigger. Now, you see the teacher standing at the front of the classroom with his hands on his hips because he doesn't know what to say to that. What are you going to say to that? Evolution is a paper suit, folks. Anyway, enough of my soapbox sermoning. Let's see. Kathy, you had a question. You said, let's go to that question then, Kathy.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I am we have a 13-year-old little girl in our church who currently does her own animations. She makes up her own characters. And so I'm holding up a picture that she just gave me this past Sunday. She makes these characters up. She has software on her tablet. Kiki is an amazing little artist. We've watched her grow up in our church. How would you suggest someone who has talent like this, what direction should she go? I mean, she's 13, but she has the talent. What advice could you give to her, Darren?
Honestly, keep drawing. And I'm probably the world's worst. I dropped art my freshman year in high school. I have had friends that pursued it in college, and they're now freelance artists, and they work for video companies, stuff like that. She should keep drawing. She should study on her own, look at Pinterest, Instagram, find artists on there, look at their styles, come up with her own style, draw, draw, draw. Find out what her style is and then enhance that by looking at what others do, but also take computer classes and art classes. The computer classes are the important part. If you have the talent, I mean, teachers can refine what you have, but you're going to draw. If that's the gift God gave you, you will draw. Just do your best to enhance it, but figure out the technology. Find out how to get it out there on your own. I am I'm a poster child for computer ignorance. So don't be me.
Thanks, Darren.
Brian asked a question, and we did address this early in the show. Brian, he wanted to know what I thought about the cartoons and such that are coming out of Disney these days, and we did address that, Brian. It is nothing short of normalizing, really demonizing. And when we say demonizing, maybe we should just get right to the source. Darren, what do you think about this? Instead of just saying, because I do this all the time. It's demonic. They're demonizing. They're normalizing. They're demonization. They're pushing that. Really, what it is, it's Satanism, folks. Let's get right down to the source of where this is coming from, and the origin of it is that dragon of old, as the scripture calls him. It is God's enemy, therefore he is our enemy. And the stooges that line themselves up with Satan as God's enemies, hear me, folks, they are our enemies too. We've got to get this right. They are our enemies too. If they are God's enemies, they're our enemies. And we'll pray for them, but I'll tell you what I'll pray for them about, especially those that are given to pedophilia and some of these other demonically inspired wicked behaviors today. I'm praying that God will bust them right in the chops and drag them into the pits of hell, because that's where they belong. You go ahead and pray for
Absolutely.
them. I'll pray God takes them out. That'll be my prayer. Darren, what are your thoughts?
I agree. And I do want to say this about Disney. When I was a kid, I loved Disney. I lived for every Sunday evening. After it was before church, you got to see Disney, and the cartoons were the best weekends. But we've had this discussion before. I think when anything becomes successful and lucrative, it's taken over. Satan doesn't have really any original ideas. I mean, he had to corrupt God's creation. So I think he's corrupted Disney's creation because it was so popular. When something starts becoming wildly successful, he starts working his way in to make it wildly evil.
Yeah.
You look at Sam Walton. Sam Walton was a great guy. He had a good idea, but now look at the stuff they're backing, and we're having to say, oh, you guys are backing the wrong stuff. We're not going to shop there. Anything. And look at Chick-fil-A. I mean, that breaks my heart. They're wildly successful. I think Satan's working his way in there. I hope they can fight it off. I think they're strong enough to, but you can see the attack. So that's
Yeah.
what happened with Disney. Is it a bad thing? It's a very bad thing now. They're working all the wrong ideas into our kids' heads, and we've let them do it for the last 50 to 100 years. I truly believe that Woodrow Wilson and John Dewey started an attack on our kids and the education system, and it has been fermenting all those years, and we're seeing the fruits of it right now. So we're 100 years behind in the game. We've got to get started.
Yeah. And I agree with that, Darren. And listen, this is not cynicism. We're not just casting dispersions unwarranted. When Darren's point is this, and you see it all across Hollywood, whether it's the music industry or the film industry, David Hebner can tell you all about this. He is a veteran of these wars in Hollywood. And by the way, his show is on right after mine, so I encourage you to tune into that. The point that Darren is making, though, is this: just watch what happens to Hollywood stars once they become somebody, once they have a name, once they reach a certain level of fame, and the wealth starts coming in. It's almost like they're given a contract that says, "Listen, are you enjoying this life that you have, a life of fame and a life of wealth? If you want it to continue, and we can even increase that for you, here are the things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to play by our rules. And our rules are Satan's rules. And that's why they come out. Why would anybody who is experiencing fame and wealth, why would they come out all of a sudden out of the blue and say, yeah, I support infanticide. I think you should all vote Democrat because they're for the little man, right? I think that you should support infanticide. You should support politicians who allow survivors of botched abortions, those precious, precious babies, to be placed on a cold stainless steel table in a room with the door shut and let them cry until they die. Taylor Swift. Are you buying her stuff? If you are, stop it. Christian, stop it. Are you going to see her? Stop it, because that's what you're supporting. It's high time we put action with our words. It doesn't do any good to be outraged about what's going on in our nation today if you don't do something about it. You keep supporting these Luciferians with your hard-earned money, and then you complain because everything's going down the toilet. Well, you're part of the problem if you're supporting that. Get some guts and get rid of television. That'd be a good first step. I almost said, I'm sorry to get so passionate, but I'd be lying because I'm not sorry. It's high time Christians start reverencing and honoring God through our actions and stop just saying things that we think look good to other people. Start living the life that goes along with the profession. Because if we don't, you might as well just kiss this nation goodbye because we're done. And I can tell you something. My opinion, and you can disagree all day long. I don't really care if you disagree or not. If America falls, it's game over for the world. The globalists won, and you ain't seen nothing till they get in charge. You think we see evil in America? You ain't seen nothing. You, brother or sister that profess faith in Christ, well, if that happens, we're going to find out who the real Christians are, won't we? Because they'll hold a gun to your head and say yes or no. Christ, yes, no. And then we'll find out. That's where we're going, folks. That's how serious this is. Darren, I'm sorry. I hijacked our conversation and took it off because
Completely agree.
I get a little passionate
No, I
about things sometimes.
agree.
So what do you think we need to do, brother?
Well, I mean, honestly, we've sat back for too long. I mean, it's our turn
Yeah.
to attack.
Yeah.
Go into the whole world, make disciples. That's what we're told to do. And we stopped. Other countries are sending missionaries over here now.
True story right there. That is a true story. Yep. I've heard it from people on the mission field. They're sending missionaries to America. That should grieve your hearts, folks. I don't know if there's any other questions in the queue or any out there on social media. Probably not after that rant, but that's okay. That is exactly how I think about the whole situation, folks. But we can do something about it. Let's start with our children. I got a brand new granddaughter. Brand new.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. 8 weeks old. 8 weeks old. And you know what I started her off on a week or so ago? The Gospel of John. I'm reading the scriptures to her. And I will continue to read the scriptures to her. And guess what else I do? I lay my hands on her head and I pray God's blessing upon her. Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord shine his light upon you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. I pray that in the physical, because I get to spend time with her because I'm retired now, praise the Lord. But I pray that upon all my grandchildren. I pray that upon all my children. Father, bless my children. May the light of your countenance shine upon them. Make them mighty warriors for you in this day and age. One of these days I'm going to be gone, folks. My generation is going to be gone. What are our children going to do? What is our legacy to them? What are we inspiring and encouraging them to do? We should be very concerned about that. And we should be pulling out all the stops, getting rid of all the excuses for not doing it, and making sure that our children are prepared, or better yet, even now, today, already involved in the fight. That would be even better, wouldn't it, Darren?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, that's I've got all these little schemes written down. I've drawers full of ideas and stuff. That was I was wanting to come up with a Zach and Gannon lunchbox that had a little slide compartment on the outside and give the kids daily verses with cartoons to slide in there and carry to school. And no one can say anything about that. Just because it's a cartoon strip, kids love cartoons, and two, it's the gospel message going out there through the children. They'll see it, others will see it, and if it's a popular character, then what's anybody going to say?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Denny, you have a question, brother. Jump in there.
Just real quick, it's what you're talking about, Mike and Darren. I so agree. I watched a documentary on the Roman Empire just a couple weeks ago, clear through from 200 BC to 440. And the thing that really struck out on me real quick was even the Romans figured it out, 2,000 years ago. Whenever they invade a village or town or whatever, they would spare all the young boys and ship them all back to Rome and indoctrinate them to become the Roman soldiers. And it didn't matter what country. They learned a long time ago, the younger you get them, you could totally indoctrinate them. And that's what we're dealing with today.
You're absolutely right, Denny. Hey, JR, thanks for joining us. It starts with the family, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess.
That was about as softball as it gets, brother.
Thank you. I'm definitely with you. The devil's in the detail. We're letting them get. There's a movie, Stir Crazy, with a couple comedians, and there's a judge that gives them a 125-year sentence for something like jaywalking, and their reaction to that sentence is how we should have been reacting years ago to this insanity that's going on. Like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
And we don't do that.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Hey, folks, JR, Natural Family Foundation. What's the website, JR?
It's naturalfamilystrong.com. Naturalfamilystrong.com.
Naturalfamilystrong.com. Go out there, check that out. Support JR. We need to have you back on, JR. We haven't had a chat in a while. Folks, get Darren's material, will you please? Get it into the hands of your grandchildren. No Other Gods, Thou Shalt Not Steal, the Trinity, Regeneration is out there on Amazon. We're going to work to get these more available to you. We've got to rescue our children. We sing that old hymn, rescuing the perishing in church. Guess what? The perishing are standing right beside us in the pews. They're our children and our grandchildren. Let's rescue them first. All right? Agreed. I appreciate you joining me today. Darren, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, well, one thing my wife just pointed out to me, Zach is Z-A-C-K. I'm not sure why I spelled it that way, but a lot of people won't know that. So it's Gannon, G-A-N-A-N 7 and Z-A-C-K 6.
Z-A-C-K 6. Zach 6. All right, folks. Follow Darren on Instagram. Go out to Amazon. Get his materials. Drop him an email. D for Darren, Arnett 97@gmail.com. Tell him that you appreciated his conversation with me on the show, and you're going to support him and get this material into your children and grandchildren's hands. Folks, I appreciate you joining me today. Please share this show with other people. Remember, renewing our mind is not an option. See you next time. God bless you.